The galaxy had been silent for 500 years. Not a single transmission had carried the old Terran code. The last time anyone heard that sound, the stars themselves seemed to burn brighter. The day the human warship Erebus Prime disappeared into a dying sun. That day was marked in every alien history book. The fall of the humans, the end of the Terran threat. The galaxy had celebrated. Empires rose without fear, fleets patrolled freely, and even the oldest species began to forget the name humanity. But in the far reaches of the Orion expanse, in a forgotten mining zone where even traders refused to travel, a signal pulsed in the darkness. It was faint at first, a repeating tone, steady and cold. The old Terran military code. On a small relay station orbiting an abandoned moon, a lone operator stared at his monitor. He was a carrion, thin-skinned, nervous, with 3 eyes that widened in horror as the code repeated itself. He tried to adjust the frequency, thinking it was a glitch. It wasn't. The letters glowed on his screen, bright and sharp. UF Command Protocol active, Erebus Prime. The operator froze. His trembling hands hit the emergency beacon. The galaxy's silence was broken. Within hours, the news spread across communication grids faster than light. From the crystal halls of the Veil Dominion to the cold citadels of the Zinth Collective, everyone knew what it meant. The humans had returned. The Council of Worlds assembled in emergency session for the first time in 2 centuries. Holograms of 100 alien leaders filled the grand chamber orbiting the planet Carathis. Their voices overlapped in panic. It must be a fake signal. Impossible, that ship was destroyed. Find the source before it spreads fear. But deep down, even the most logical among them felt something ancient rise. Fear. The signal grew stronger by the hour. Reconnaissance drones were sent to track it. Most never came back. Those that did showed fragments of video, static, shadows, and once, a glimpse of something massive moving behind the dust clouds of the dead system. A single human voice cut through the distortion. This is Captain Arlen Voss of the United Terran Fleet. The war is not over. Across the galaxy, power grids flickered. Data cores malfunctioned. Artificial intelligences that had been programmed to forget the human war suddenly reactivated old files. And with them came the memories of what humanity had done. They remembered the siege of Ekrion Prime, where a single human fleet held off 9 alien armadas. They remembered the Day of Fire, when human soldiers detonated entire moons rather than surrender. They remembered the phrase that once haunted every alien commander: humanity does not retreat. Now, that phrase echoed again. Meanwhile, in the outer rim, a young alien cadet named Rethor stared out from his patrol ship. He had grown up hearing stories about humans, half myth, half nightmare. His training had told him they were extinct, wiped out by their own arrogance. Yet here he was, watching his radar light up with a Terran signature so strong it shook his console. "What is that thing?" he whispered. His superior officer didn't answer. Outside their viewport, the dust clouds parted. From the shadows, a massive dark shape began to emerge. Metal hull burnt and scarred, kilometers long. Blue lights flickered along its sides, awakening one by one, like eyes opening after a long sleep. The Erebus Prime, humanity's most feared warship, had returned. Rethor's voice cracked. "Command, we have visual confirmation. It's real." But before the message could transmit, their ship trembled. A low hum filled the vacuum. The Erebus Prime's main weapon core activated. A bright line of energy sliced through the patrol craft, vaporizing it without a sound. No witnesses remained. Only the silent wreckage drifting through the void. Back on Carathis, the Council received the final incomplete transmission. A blurred image, a warship larger than any current model, its hull engraved with the old Terran Eagle symbol. The image froze on the words painted across its front: Erebus Prime, we end what you began. Every alien leader stared in silence. The Grand Chancellor of the Veil Dominion spoke first, his voice barely a whisper. "If that ship truly lives, then the galaxy is already lost." Panic erupted. Fleets were ordered to prepare. Old alliances were reforged overnight. Ancient defenses that had slept for centuries came online. Still, none of them could shake the feeling that it was already too late. Because while they scrambled for safety, the Erebus Prime had already begun to move. Inside the warship, dim corridors flickered alive. Dust floated in zero gravity. In the command chamber, Captain Arlen Voss stood before a cracked viewport, his uniform faded but his eyes sharp. Around him, his crew slowly awakened from stasis pods, soldiers of a war the galaxy had forgotten. The ship's AI, Helios, came online with a low hum. Captain, all systems operational. Time elapsed. 496 years. Voss didn't speak at first. He simply stared at the endless stars before him. When he finally spoke, his words were quiet, but they carried weight. 496 years. And they thought we were gone. Helios responded. Our home coordinates show no signal. Earth's position registers as empty space. Voss's jaw tightened. Then they erased us. He turned to the crew awakening behind him, faces pale, eyes uncertain, but hearts burning with the old fire. Set a course for the Galactic Center, he ordered. If the galaxy forgot us, we will remind them who we are. Engines rumbled, deep and powerful. The old ship moved forward, its lights growing brighter as the darkness swallowed its form. And across the galaxy, sensors screamed warnings again. The ghost of humanity was no longer a myth. It was coming home. The Erebus Prime moved through the silent void like a shadow of a forgotten god. Its engines glowed faintly, their deep hum echoing through the empty corridors. The ship had slept for nearly 5 centuries, yet every system came alive as if it had only been silent for a day. Dust floated in shafts of dim light, revealing the scars of ancient battles along the walls. Captain Arlen Voss walked across the bridge, boots tapping softly on the metal floor. The glass before him showed the endless stretch of stars, distant and cold. His reflection looked older than he remembered, not from age but from time lost. He turned to the ship's AI core. Helios crew status. Primary stasis sectors reactivated, the AI replied, its voice calm but powerful. 423 human units revived. Systems integrity at 87%. Energy reserves. Sufficient for war. War. The word hung in the air like smoke. One by one, soldiers stepped out of their pods. Their skin was pale, eyes adjusting to light. Some fell to their knees in confusion. Others saluted instinctively. A woman with a scar across her cheek whispered, Captain, is it over? Voss shook his head slowly. No, it is only beginning again. They did not yet know what had happened to their world. The last memory most of them had was fire, the destruction of Earth, the screaming signals cut short, the final order to retreat into the edge of space. Now, centuries later, there was only silence where home once was. Helios projected a holographic map of the galaxy. Red lines marked the borders of alien empires, vast, powerful, and sprawling. In the center glowed one name repeated over and over again, Dominion Control. The captain studied it quietly. They built their world over our ashes, he murmured. They used our fall to rise higher, but they forgot one thing. He turned his eyes hard. We were never meant to die quietly. Outside, the Erebus Prime passed through a graveyard of ships, the debris field of the final human war. Hulls of alien vessels drifted like tombstones, their insignias long faded. The humans watched in silence as they moved through the wreckage, recognizing old enemies among the ruins. Helios, said the captain. Scan the field. Scanning. Multiple fragments of Vale, Threxian, and Zinth design. Estimated destruction 250 years ago. Kinetic rail impacts. Pattern matches Terran weaponry. A young officer frowned. Captain. But that means, yes, Voss interrupted. There were survivors. Others fought long after we were gone. The bridge grew still. If other human ships had survived, they might still be out there, hidden, waiting, or perhaps lost like the Erebus Prime. The thought burned hope into tired hearts. Then the alarms broke the silence. Unidentified crafts approaching, Helios warned. 12 small vessels, likely scouts. The captain stepped closer to the viewport. In the distance, faint blue lights approached. The alien ships were sleek and silver, their movements sharp and organized. They belonged to the Vale Dominion, the same empire that once led the extermination of Earth. Open a channel, Voss ordered. A voice came through, confident, mocking. Unknown vessel, you are entering Dominion-controlled space. Identify yourself immediately, or you will be destroyed. Voss's lips curved into a small, cold smile. This is Captain Arlen Voss of the United Terran Fleet. There was silence for a second, then laughter. Human, impossible. Your kind is dust and myth. Then remember the myth well, Voss said, his tone sharp as steel. Because it's about to become real again. He lowered his hand. Helio, fire! The Erebus Prime came alive like a beast awakened. Its main batteries ignited, railguns charging with a deep roar. The first shot tore through the void, leaving a trail of glowing plasma. One of the vile ships vanished instantly, nothing but fragments left drifting. The others panicked, firing back with bright streams of energy. The beams hit the Erebus Prime's armor, sparking harmlessly against its reinforced hull. The human ship didn't flinch. It moved forward, returning fire with devastating precision. Within minutes, all 12 alien scouts were gone. The crew watched in stunned silence. The sound of the battle faded, leaving only the quiet hum of the ship. A woman at the tactical console whispered, "After all this time, we still fight like before." Voss nodded. "No, we fight better," Helios interrupted. "Enemy transmission detected. A distress beacon has been sent to nearby systems." "Let them come," the captain said. "Let the whole galaxy come. We have been asleep too long." He turned toward the crew. "We find out what happened to Earth. We find who erased us from history. And when we find them," his voice grew cold, "we remind them what fear truly means." The Erebus Prime adjusted its trajectory, engines glowing brighter. The stars reflected against its metal hull, marking the beginning of a new war, not of conquest but of vengeance. Far across the galaxy, the Council of Worlds received the distress beacon. The signal carried a single name in its metadata, Erebus Prime. The room fell silent. No one spoke. The Chancellor of the Veiled Dominion rose slowly, his scales shifting with unease. "If that ship truly exists," he said, "then we are facing the end of our age." A Zinth commander replied, "The humans were destroyed. How can one ship threaten us now?" The Chancellor's eyes narrowed. "Because they never fight to win. They fight so that no one ever forgets losing." The council erupted in arguments, but the truth was already clear. Somewhere in the void, the ghost of humanity was awake again, and this time, it would not rest until the galaxy remembered why it once feared the name human. As the Erebus Prime vanished into hyperspace, its engines burned with golden light, the same light that once led fleets to war. The galaxy trembled, for the humans had returned. The message from the Erebus Prime spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Alien news channels replayed the same footage over and over again, a dark, scarred warship cutting through fleets as if made of glass. The humans had returned, and the galaxy, once proud and united in their absence, now trembled again. The Council of Worlds gathered in full force. 1,000 holograms glowed in the grand chamber, voices overlapping in panic. "The ship must be destroyed before it reaches the core." "Who reactivated it?" "The humans were extinct. Do you not understand? If one ship survived, there could be more." The Chancellor of the Veiled Dominion stood at the center, silent. His eyes watched the chaos unfold. When he finally spoke, his tone was cold. "Fear does not suit us. We defeated the humans once. We will do so again." But no one dared to agree aloud. Every empire remembered the truth. It had taken 10 united civilizations, endless weapons, and the burning of whole planets just to push the humans to extinction. And even then, it was not a victory. It was survival. In the outer rim, the Erebus Prime floated through an asteroid field, its engines dimmed to a whisper. The human crew had restored their strength. The ship was alive again. Inside, the command bridge glowed faintly in the dark. Captain Arlen Voss stood before the galaxy map projected in front of him. "Helios," he said, "show me Earth's coordinates again." The AI obeyed, projecting a section of the galaxy where Earth once existed. It was empty. No signal, no orbit, nothing but a void. "They erased us," Voss muttered, his voice low. "Not just from space, from memory." Commander Ara Len, one of the oldest soldiers on board, stepped beside him. "They built their worlds over ours, but they forgot what we were made of." Voss nodded. "Then we will remind them," Helios interrupted. "Multiple fleets approaching. Estimated time to contact, 12 hours. Largest formation belongs to the Dominion Armada." The captain looked up at the map. Red dots appeared in the distance, spreading fast. 12 hours, he repeated. Enough time to prepare. The human crew moved like one body. Engineers recharged the reactor cores. Pilots tested the drone bays. Soldiers loaded ancient railgun shells, each the size of a small ship. The sound of machinery filled the halls, a rhythm of purpose steady and alive. Voss stood at the front of the ship, watching as the first enemy signals came into range. Through the viewport, the void glittered with distant lights, thousands of ships forming a line across space. "Helios," he said calmly. "Open all frequencies." The AI complied. Across the galaxy, every major network went silent. Then a human voice echoed through the stars. "This is Captain Arlen Voss of the United Terran Fleet. To those who erased our name, we are still here. To those who built their power on our ashes, we remember. You feared us once, fear us again." The transmission ended, and with that the battle began. The Dominion Armada fired first. A storm of energy blasts lit up the void, turning darkness into white fire. For a moment, the Erebus Prime disappeared inside the light. Then the explosions cleared and the warship remained untouched. Its shield glowed faintly like molten gold. "Return fire," said Voss. The human ship unleashed its fury. Massive railguns roared, launching tungsten shells faster than light. Each impact tore through alien dreadnoughts, splitting them apart. Fighter drones poured from the ship's belly like a swarm of silver meteors, weaving through the enemy formation with terrifying precision. Alien commanders shouted orders, trying to regroup, but nothing worked. The Erebus Prime was a machine of war beyond their understanding, a relic from an age where humanity fought to the last breath. On board, the human soldiers worked in silence, focused, steady. Their movements were almost mechanical, their discipline perfect. This was not a fleet. This was vengeance in motion. Within 30 minutes, half the Dominion Armada was gone. On the Council's world, alien leaders watched the battle live. They saw their ships burn, their fleets scatter. One of them slammed his hand on the console. "It's one ship. How can it do this?" An elder from the Zinth Collective answered in a trembling voice. "Because it's not just a ship. It's human." The Chancellor's expression turned grim. "Then we must use the forbidden weapons." Back in space, the Dominion unleashed its last defense, the Omega Pulse, a weapon forbidden by treaty, designed to erase life on a planetary scale. The energy wave expanded outward, swallowing entire fleets, vaporizing everything in its path. Inside the Erebus Prime, the alarm screamed. Helios spoke quickly. "Energy surge detected, magnitude beyond threshold. Impact imminent in 30 seconds. The bridge shook. The crew looked to the captain. Voss stood tall, unflinching. "Helios, activate mirror protocol." A deep hum filled the ship. Panels folded along its hull, revealing a dark silver surface that began to shimmer like liquid. The pulse hit, and instead of breaking apart, the Erebus Prime absorbed it. Energy rippled along its sides, glowing brighter and brighter. When the light faded, the warship floated unharmed. The absorbed energy surged through its cannons, charging them to full power. "Target their flagship," Voss said softly. "Return their kindness." The main cannon fired. One beam, silent and golden, cutting across light years. The Dominion flagship vanished in an instant, leaving nothing but fragments drifting through the cold. The galaxy watched in horror. Billions saw the broadcast, and for the first time in centuries, the stars went quiet again. On the bridge, the captain looked at the wreckage with emotionless eyes. "Transmit a message," he said. Helios asked, "What message, Captain?" Voss stared into the void. "Tell them the age of silence is over. Tell them humanity remembers everything." The transmission spread faster than light. Across every planet, across every empire, the same message appeared on screens, in lights, in whispers through the dark. "We are humanity. We have returned." The galaxy burned with silence. Billions watched the human message echo across every communication screen. "We are humanity. We have returned." Worlds that once laughed at the name Terran now locked their doors and dimmed their lights. Armadas that once crushed empires trembled in orbit. The stars themselves felt smaller that night, as if the galaxy remembered an old wound reopened. Deep within the void, the Erebus Prime drifted calmly through the aftermath of battle. The debris of the Dominion's armada surrounded it like a field of ash. Every explosion had faded, leaving only the hum of the ship's reactor. On the bridge, Captain Arlen Voss stood before the great window. The faint light from dying ships reflected across his face. He looked neither proud nor angry, only tired. "Report." he said quietly. Helios responded in its calm voice. Enemy fleet destroyed. Galactic transmissions indicate widespread panic. The name humanity is trending on all public channels. Several empires have declared emergency war measures. Others have gone silent. Voss nodded slowly. They remember now. He turned toward his crew, the last soldiers of Earth, people who had woken up in a world that no longer knew their name. Their eyes burned with the same fire. They had fought like ghosts, and now the living feared their return. Helios, Voss said, show me Earth one more time. The AI projected the empty space where their home once was. Only darkness remained. But this time something flickered, a faint, almost invisible signal hidden deep in the black. Signal detected, Helios said. Source unknown. Frequency, Terran in origin. The bridge went silent. Hearts raced. For centuries, the signal of Earth had been lost, its location wiped from every record. But here it was, faint, stubborn, alive. Trace it, said Voss, his voice firm. Hours later, the Erebus Prime arrived at the edge of the signal's origin. The system was small, filled with debris and the ruins of a shattered world. There was no planet, no life, only fragments of rock glowing faintly in the light of a dying sun. The AI spoke softly. Captain, this was Earth. The crew stared out the viewport. The world that had birthed humanity was gone. Voss's fists clenched, his reflection shaking in the glass. They turned our home into dust, whispered Commander Len. They erased everything we were. No, Voss said quietly. Not everything. He pointed to the signal still pulsing weakly from one of the floating fragments. That beacon is still alive. It has been calling for centuries. The Erebus Prime maneuvered closer. A small metal object floated among the debris. A capsule, blackened and cracked but still intact. The crew brought it aboard. Inside was a single data crystal, glowing faintly blue. Helios projected its contents into the air. A hologram appeared, an old message recorded long ago. The face of a woman filled the room. Her voice was fragile but strong. To whoever finds this, if you are human, then know that Earth fell not in defeat but in choice. We sent our last ships away to survive. You are our memory. If you still fight, then you carry the soul of humanity within you. Do not seek revenge. Seek remembrance. The message ended, fading into soft light. For a long time, no one spoke. Even the ship seemed to grow quiet. Captain Voss closed his eyes. His voice was low when he finally spoke. Remembrance. That was her word. Not vengeance. Commander Len looked at him carefully. Then what will we do, Captain? The galaxy fears us again. They will attack. They will never let us live in peace. Voss turned toward the stars. Then we remind them of what peace costs. The next day, the Erebus Prime broadcast one final message. Not a threat, but a warning. We are not your monsters. We are the consequence of your cruelty. We will not rule this galaxy, nor will we hide. We will remember every world that burned ours, and we will protect those who cannot protect themselves. You feared us because we would not bow. That fear built your empire. Now live with it. The transmission reached every world, every colony, every ship, and for the first time the name human was not spoken in hatred but in awe. Across the stars, stories began to spread. Some said the Erebus Prime had vanished again into the void, carrying the last hope of the Terran people. Others swore they had seen smaller ships, human-built, new and alive, rising from hidden worlds. Thought long abandoned, children of alien worlds began whispering bedtime stories about the ghost, fleet, protectors who appeared when darkness grew too strong. In the following months, strange signals began to appear across the outer systems. They carried a single emblem, the silver eagle of the Terran fleet, and one message repeated in hundreds of languages: humanity endures. Far away, in the quiet of deep space, the Erebus Prime drifted once more through the darkness. Its engines glowed faintly blue as it passed the edge of known systems. Captain Voss sat alone in the command chamber watching the stars. He thought of the woman in the message, her calm voice, her belief that humanity's purpose was not destruction, but survival. Helios spoke softly. Captain, destination? Voss smiled faintly. Nowhere. Everywhere. Wherever there's silence that needs breaking. Helios paused, then said, The galaxy fears us again. Voss looked at the stars one last time. Then let them. Fear is memory, and memory means we still exist. The Erebus Prime turned its bow toward the unknown. Its engines flared to life, lighting up the dark. Slowly, it vanished into the infinite horizon, leaving only its echo behind. For the galaxy, it was the end of an age. For humanity, it was the beginning of remembrance.